Severe flooding in East Africa has caused substantial damage to infrastructure and agricultural land, as well as loss of life. The worst flooding has been witnessed in Kenya, where dams have burst, roads washed away, and telecoms assets destroyed. Heavy rains and flooding have affected nearly 205,000 people in Kenya, 179,000 in Burundi, 127,000 in Somalia, and over 125,000 in Tanzania. The regional tourism industry, which is a key generator of foreign exchange revenue, has also been impacted by the rains, as tourists have been stranded in nature reserves. Tourism plays an important role in the Kenyan and Tanzania economies. The US and UK government have now issued travel advisories, which will lower tourist arrivals in coming months. The rains have been amplified by the El Niño weather pattern, a naturally occurring climate phenomenon typically associated with increased heat worldwide, leading to drought in some parts of the world and heavy downpours elsewhere. As of the 3rd of May, the region was also bracing for the potential impact of Cyclone Hidaya in the coastal areas of Kenya and Tanzania. Kenya's capital, Nairobi, is among the areas expected to suffer heavy rains. The longer-term impact of the recent flooding includes disease, displacement, and loss of crops and farmland, which raises the risk of food insecurity. Even before this flooding, consecutive and prolonged droughts and ongoing conflict have already caused severe food shortages and massive loss of livestock. Across Africa, El Niño-induced heavy rains and flooding have caused extensive damage to infrastructure, including homes, hospitals, schools, and roads, compounding recovery efforts in the Horn of Africa. Last year, which set a new record for global temperatures, Africa was notably impacted by an array of natural hazards that affected over 34 million individuals and led to approximately 15,700 deaths. Furthermore, the frequency of tropical cyclones has increased, causing substantial damage to coastal and inland areas. Climatic changes are increasingly exacerbating both intra- and interstate conflicts, with Eastern Africa identified as a region particularly vulnerable to climate-related violence due to competition over diminishing fertile land. Across Africa, migration of people has noticeably increased in recent years, which is a long-term effect of climate change and related civil conflict. In response, businesses will be at greater risk of environmental activism. Multinational corporations, in particular, are likely to face direct action threats if they are perceived, even indirectly, as contributors to the climate crisis. Pangaea Risk assesses the impact of climate change on country risk in Africa and the Middle East.